Cady, a certified graphologist, a court-certified witness in this area, who spoke for the first time for us in August and received a great and enormous response to the information that she had to present. And I know some of you are either professional or amateur graphologists, and you will be interested as well, and some of you have already told me that. Now, I'm going to ask you to stop the tape a moment. Ready to go again. And so, I'm happy to present her here this afternoon, and I think you'll find it most interesting, entertaining, and informative. Lots of people, or several people, have told me their lives have been changed from things they've learned from what they learned from Polly last August. So welcome her this afternoon, Polly Cady from Paonia, Colorado.
Thanks, Dean. Okay. Well, the first half of this, I'm going to just talk about a little about myself and how I got into this amazing skill, and also a science and also an art. And yeah, I could call it a million different things because it's also counseling too. For about 15 years, I happened to be a decorator. And everybody says, well, how did you get into this field? Well, a number of things brought me here. And one of them I contribute to a lady that said that she thought my handwriting was very good and I needed to be a handwriting analyst. Now, I wasn't into the metaphysical movement at that time, so I thought she'd fallen off of a big tree. Okay, thinking that handwriting, I mean, I'm a decorator. I decorate people's houses, you know. What am I going to do with handwriting? But in my decorating business, I noticed that a lot of people kept coming to me for counseling. And in my workshop, I'll show you why they came to me for counseling. It's in my handwriting. Was in my handwriting. They come to me now in a different way. They don't unload all their emotional stuff on me so that I can, you know, take it and hold on to it. I just listen to them now, show them certain things through their handwriting that they can change that enhances their life. So I took a subliminal reading course, which is a course that allows you to read anywhere from 80,000 to 300,000 words a minute. Believe it or not, it really does. You read the book upside down, backwards. And you're not reading the book, you're really like consuming the book. And the knowledge does not, you know, you can't use it immediately. What happens is you'll be doing a speech like this, and all of a sudden these words will come from someplace, and you don't know where they're coming from, and it could have been one of those books you read. So it's different than speed reading, because speed reading is one of those things that you just read the book real fast and you comprehend the words, and then you can, you know, savor. You can even really savor a book that way. With subliminal reading, you just absorb the book and later use the information. But when I got into that, I thought, well, now this is interesting. And they took us through this subliminal thing where they were saying, did you know that most of the country is being subliminally trained all the time to do what they're supposed to do? And I thought, wow, this is intriguing. So they gave me these two books on subliminal advertising, and sex exploitation is the name of the book. It was really awesome, okay? So I read this book and I went, you know, this is incredible. We're being subliminally trained in our music, in our advertising, in our magazines, on TV, in our clothing, in our jewelry. And it went back, and it didn't go back just 50, 60 years. I mean, subliminal advertising has been going back for thousands of years. To the jewelry. You know, they made us women slaves to our men by the jewelry designs embedded in the jewelry way back to the pharaohs. Well, I said, this is cool. I love this stuff. This is just so exciting to find all this intrigue about what these guys are doing to us. So, and guys, old guys, you know, what we live in, you know, the newspapers and the media, and those kind of things. Okay, so now we get into handwriting, and this gal asked me to do handwriting, and I thought, all of a sudden, the subliminal stuff kept coming up, and I kept thinking, no, there's just no possible way that we could be controlled in our handwriting. That's got to be the most ludicrous thing you've ever thought in your life, Polly. And then I got to thinking, now wait a minute. Did any of you ever once think where your handwriting came from? Did you ever ask your teacher why you write, why you print? Did anyone? Is there anyone out there that can really answer me that question? I haven't found anybody yet. Oh, here's a better one. Why did we do the Palmer method around handwriting? Why didn't the whole nation do Zaner Blauser or some off-the-wall other person? Who is Palmer? Anybody know? Who's Zaner Blauser? Does anyone know? No, you can't tell me. Well, I couldn't tell me. So then I decided, well, let's see. So if you're controlled in your handwriting, where does this go? So I went down to the library, and we're like all the other ones, we get into the library and our heads go into books. Okay, and we're just going like this madly to find the information. And I came across this interesting book on communication. And the book on communication went way back to the beginning of time, where handwriting was started on the walls of caves. And with every stroke up and with every stroke down, there was a message to learn. And I said, well, this is neat, all right? So now I'm looking at art, and I'm looking at the hieroglyphics, and I'm looking at all these things. Well, where did our handwriting come from? Where did our alphabet come from? I don't know. Okay, nobody knows. We can say Palmer, where'd he get it? It had to come from someplace. So then I checked out all the alphabets I could find. The Hebrew alphabets, the Spanish alphabets, you name it. I got my hands on all of them, one way or another. And I wanted to find out what this Palmer guy was all about. I said, well, if he's doing this to this country, who is this guy? So I went over to my friend's house, who is another graphologist, and he and I got onto the computer, and we're just really getting into all the information on handwriting that we can get, and we're getting it printed, and it's all negative. And I'm finding this is really interesting that it's all negative. It tells you the certain loops that you do, make you a carpetbagger. And, if you do another loop, it says that you're closed, you have a closed mind, and your whole life is going to pieces. And I'm going, this is not what I want to hear. I want to hear some positive stuff. I want to hear that you can do something with handwriting and there's a reason for it. So then we got a hold of some information on Palmer. And we started putting it on the computer, and boom, it goes blank. And I said, well, what's this all about? So we tried Zaner Blauser. And all of a sudden, we're just getting the information, and it starts to tell you about who he is. Boom, goes blank. We can't get back into the system. What's that all about? So I said, okay, that just makes me more determined, like most of us, getting the information. If they're going to hide it from us, we're going to go out and find it. One way or another, there happens to be libraries, there happens to be people, and if they think they're going to keep this information from us, they're out of their ever-loving minds. Okay, so then I went to this little town called Peonia, which is about as, well, it's not even as big as an ink blot on a map. Okay. So I get there, and I have not the foggiest idea why I'm here, okay, except that I'm doing handwriting for all these people, and they think I should move to this small town from the big city of Denver, Colorado, where I had a going business, and I had absolutely not the foggiest idea why I'd run to a little town that had 1,650 people and think I was going to create a business. Well, I have. But what I did in that little town, you will find out later, because it goes along with the handwriting. And it's so incredible. Oh, you just wait. You've got some treats for you, let me tell you. So anyway, this little old lady comes to my office that I started there. I started what we call a healing arts center. Okay, we all have one of those now, which is absolutely wonderful because we're expanding our awareness of life. And not only am I a handwriting analyst, but I also do body work, and I'm a card reader, and, well, aren't we all? I mean, we do so many things anymore. We sell all these, different products for our body. So we're taking care of body, mind, and soul. So this lady comes to me, and she says, we're doing her handwriting, and I says, boy, I wish I could get a hold of the Palmer method of handwriting. Her eyes got about this big. And she says, I can get you that book. I used to be a teacher. I forgot to get the book back. I said, oh, right, ask, you'll get it. Put it out there, because, boy, I'm telling you anymore, you ask for something, especially if you change your handwriting, you're going to turn around, you're going to get bruise on your nose, because it's going to be right behind you. All right? So then I got all this information, and this is so interesting that I got this information, and it says, the subject matter of the series has been selected with the purpose of fitting into the general program of curriculum and thus contributing to the child's general development as well as to the acquisition of this particular skill. Next page. Well, that's not the page I want. This page I want. Then I said, okay, that's fine. Then it says here, those responsible for training the American youth today accept the sacred privilege of guiding them in the early stages of learning, which will be the pattern of loyal citizenship in the land of liberty of this United States. I went, oh, well, there's my answer. Couldn't be, we have a little control issue here. Huh. Couldn't be at all. And I said, so let's start investigating handwriting. Now, I'm sure that this was not what my first teachers wanted me to do. Come to find out, a number of my first teachers worked for the government. And I said, this is all fitting into this little puzzle. I was telling you, a couple of you, that you liked puzzles. I adore them. I think they're marvelous. They give you the answers, and you can have this big picture of the whole thing. The one thing that we don't do in this country is ask more questions, especially of our children, and especially of their training in school. So now we have something that ever since we were about this big, we've been controlled in with every stroke of an ink pen. Amazing, isn't it? So, okay, so this is what they do. I want to show you something. We have a number of little charts here. And this chart here, all right, you can see the T there. Now, how many of you have written this T? Most every single one of you. And this is not a bad T if you were looking at it as the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? That T shows me as I would call even a psychic graphologist, that they lower your self-esteem so that they can do what? They can control you. If you have low self-esteem and you're sitting in a classroom and you don't think that you're the greatest person on earth, what are you going to do? Buy into the program. You can bank on it. Then I take everybody's T's and I have them sign right at the top. We're talking about lowercase t's. We're not talking about capital T's. We're talking about lowercase t's, and now I'm going to take this T and I'm going to raise it all the way to the top. Now, if you do this enough, it passes, the conscious mind goes to the subconscious mind and gives you self-esteem. And self-esteem means believing in yourself, having what you want, going and doing what you really need to do, becoming a what? Leader, not a follower. So I said, oh boy, here is a challenge. I love it. E's. These are closed down E's. And I would like to ask you, the audience, how many of you, when you're riding along, have a closed down E? You don't even think about it. You didn't learn that. All right? You really didn't learn that. You acquired it through belief systems. Closing your E means closed-mindedness. It means that you're not listening. Now, husbands and wives have this little thing. I have noticed in handwriting over the years that I've been doing handwriting that usually one or the other partner has larger handwriting than the other one. One of them has real small, one of them has real big. Smaller handwriting is concentrated thinking. Larger handwriting is needing to have people hear you, see you, understand you. So here's this lady, and she cannot figure out why this guy is sitting in the recliner, you know, not doing absolutely anything. You're wrong. The guy is thinking a lot, all right? But he ain't moving his body, but he is thinking. Small handwriting people usually do not sleep very well because their brain's going 900 miles an hour. Larger handwriting people have more openness to life. E, openness to life, openness to hearing. We were taught how to do it this way. Now, uphill is a positive attitude. Any handwriting, you know, you've ever noticed that when you go to a handwriting analyst booth, that they have you write on unlined paper? And you're going, I can't write on this. It has no lines. Yep, that's right. And the reason that I do that is because I want to see if you have an uphill attitude or a downhill attitude. The thing about downhill attitudes is that you really are giving yourself a hard time, because not a, well, I don't like to use negative words. So it is an attitude of disbelief in oneself because you're going downhill. You're feeling bad. You're thinking that things aren't going your way, you know, life is such a bummer. And then if you would just simply have your handwriting go uphill, you would find out that your life changes, right? So now I go to these schools and I say, this is incredible. You mean all this stuff in handwriting you can change and change your life? It's called graphotherapy. It is also a scientifically proven psychology course to simply take letters in the alphabet and change them, and you can change your life. Now, I've had a number of people, I love skeptics. Skeptics are my best clients because they learn more than the people that accept this. You know, because they got to prove, by God, I'm wrong. That's all there is to it. They want to prove that. So they use the program and it works. Hallelujah. I hope you're all skeptics because it's so cool, right? So then I go to the schools, and of course they love me because first of all, I'm just a handwriting analyst. So I'm going in there and I'm only going to analyze your children's handwriting. I'm not going to do anything else. And usually they have me come to school about the last 3 months of school when they're sick and tired of your kids. All right? And so they have all these speakers come to the schools. Now, I don't know about out here, you know, on the East Coast, but I'll tell you, back there on the West Coast, that's what they do. It must be the high altitude in Colorado. That's all I can think, okay? And they get a little tired of your kids about that time, and then they hire me. So I come in, and I'm all excited. I'm just jazzed to do these kids' handwriting. And, of course, they're jazzed to see me because I'm some new face. And then I tell them, I said, how would you like to be leaders instead of followers? And all their hands go up, of course, especially the boys, because they're all sitting back there in the back. I said, how would you like to have better relationships with your parents? How would you like to have better relationships with your teachers? How would you like to have better relationships with your girlfriends and your boyfriends? Well, that's number one, let me tell you, when you're teenagers. So, of course, they immediately want to know how they can have every girl or guy in the whole school like them. So they're right up there wanting to know. So we do something like change their T's for self-confidence. And the teacher's sitting over here. Now, I want you to know, first of all, it's one teacher. Then by the time I start talking, it's 4 teachers. By the time I get done with the whole room, it's the whole friggin' faculty in this room, okay? Because they want to know just exactly what I'm talking about, and they're just as intrigued as these kids. All right? So then I have them change their T's. The teachers say, but you can't do this. I said, there's one word in my vocabulary I've never been able to learn, and that's can't. You know, when they told me I couldn't do something, that's about the first time I put on my boots, cowboy boots, remember Colorado? Okay, and we went riding, and we found out answers. And so here we got kids now that they're saying, okay, we can do that. That feels good. That's different. You know, some of them are having a little harder time than others because it's a belief system that they've bought into, so it's going to take a while to change it. By the way, in handwriting, it takes anywhere from 21 to 28 days to change a habit, or 60 days for drug addicts, alcoholics, or anyone on any kind of abuse in their lives. It just takes a little longer. I don't know why. You guys seem to have a harder time getting rid of the, you know, having to be beat up and abused and all that. So, but it works. And so we tell the kids, open up your E's. Because if you open up your ears, you're going to hear your teacher's going to hear you. What a concept. And it doesn't hurt. And you don't have to buy it. And you don't have to take a pill. You know, you can just do it. All right, so they do this. I go to the next school. I go to that school again the next year. The amazing story is, I got to tell you this story about this gang-related school in Denver, in Aurora, Colorado. I walked in there, and the first thing I did, I didn't wear this outfit, but I wore red and black, and you know those are gang colors. And so I walk into the school, and I'm looking on the walls, and I'm going, oh, yeah, graffiti. And then I'm walking, and the kids are walking by, and I see them, you know, with their colored hair and their black suits, and, you know, and the red, and I'm going, oh, you're in deep trouble here. You're really in deep trouble. But hey, you know, I always go where I'm supposed to go because I'm definitely divinely driven. And so I went ahead, I said, you know, you got to do this. There's got to be a reason that you're here. So I went into the school and I showed one class after another. I got there when they opened up at 8:30 in the morning, and I didn't leave till 5 o'clock that night. Because it was one class, the faculty, the teachers, then they brought in other people, you know, the custodians and everybody. And we worked with that school for 3 years. And to this day, I can tell you that those kids have better grades than any other school in Denver, Colorado. Those kids painted the walls. Those kids changed the way they dressed. Now, it's not just handwriting, is it? It can't be. It's got to be something more powerful. And what it is handwriting is a thought first. It is an impulse that comes from the back of your head, down your neck, into your shoulder, into your arm, and into that utensil you're using to write. All right? And it works. Now, if you cut off your arm and you couldn't write with your hand, it's an impulse. You got to understand that. It's an impulse. So you can do it with your toes, and you'd still get the same effect. There was this one kid that lost his arm. And so he showed me his handwriting before he lost his arm and after he lost his arm. And he showed me that his handwriting was exactly the same by doing it with his toe. It's coming from here. It's not coming from your hand. It's coming from here. Well, anyway, I got to tell you the rest of the story about this school because it was really cool. So I go outside. I'm done. I'm finished. Here's all these black kids sitting out there. They were wonderful. I just thought they were great. And they're all sitting out there, and here comes the big one. Okay? And he goes, if you think you're such a smart aleck. Now that was nice language. That isn't what they used, okay? And he says, and who do you think you are? I says, I'm a handwriting analyst. And he goes, yeah, right. You're some kind of one of those weird psychic things. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm just a handwriting. Well, what do you do? I says, I read your handwriting, and I tell you about yourself, and then I show you the certain things in your handwriting that you can change to change your life. Right. You think you can, you know, do me? Sure. So I did. I took his handwriting, and I read his. I read all of them. And they were really impressed. I mean, they were just like, wow, this is incredible. Then they started showing me their artwork. Then they started telling me stories about their lives and about how their parents would wait for them at home. Okay? And as they walked up to their home, their parents would try to run over them with a car. And this is why they were in gangs, because they were so afraid that someone was going to hurt them, and they had clout being in a gang. Who was going to hurt somebody that's in a gang? I wasn't. Believe me, this guy was way too big for me. All right? And the wonderful thing about this is these kids were wonderful. And they said to me, don't worry about it. In Aurora, Colorado, you won't get killed. We like you. I thought that was pretty neat. I want to show you something else that right now, we have another man that came in 1978. Just about the time that they told every one of you that they passed a bill that said subliminal advertising was against the law in the United States. Wrong. It never went to court. Never. So they're still using subliminal advertising everywhere. But I want you to know something. We're going to turn this around because, see, I always think that there's a positive on the other side of a negative. Okay? And so I got to looking at this and I said, this is powerful because prayers are subliminal. So is handwriting. So if we see a negative to handwriting, let's turn it around and make it a positive, just like, you know, subliminal doesn't have to be subliminal. Subliminal could be something, you know, it's a thought that goes into the brain creating something. Let's make it positive. Here's something that's interesting. So this guy comes into town. Whoops. His name is Denelian. This is the new handwriting on the Western Slope. I don't know if it's over here. And when we were taught how to do the Zehner-Blauser and the Palmer, our eyes were made like this. Our capital I's were made like the very first one, from the bottom line up, over, across, and back. How many of you made it that way? All right. Of course, there's a lot of you that print and you're going, God, I don't remember how I did that, but all right. Now, Zehner-Blauser, and I finally got some information on Zehner-Blauser just the other day, but it took an act of Congress to get that one too. And Zehner-Blauser starts from this way and goes backwards. And sometimes he's even teaching the kids how to do the G's backwards. Well, what I found out about doing handwriting backwards is it creates chaos in your life. I said, now this is an interesting thing. I want you to know they know what they're doing. Because handwriting first started in the church. They knew exactly what they were doing to us. And so did Denelian. All right? They know what they're doing to our kids through the handwriting. And if you don't believe me, I can show you article after article after article of the kids that I have changed just by changing this I. The thing is that the churches knew how powerful handwriting was, and they would only allow certain people to use the handwriting, not the peasants. Okay? Now, as time went along, they created a handwriting process, Palmer, Zehner-Blauser, Denelian, and instituted it in the schools. Then you wonder why, you know. And the kids, okay, so now you're saying, well, okay, we have all these kids that have learning deficit, okay, learning problems. They have all these kind of things in school. Okay, let's see. It could be because of the way they were born. Oh, let's blame it on their parents. Oh, let's blame it on their nutrition. We can blame it on all those. I'm not saying that any of them are not in part of this whole thing, but I am saying that because of the way they have the handwriting done in the school, it is another part of training our kids to believe the system. And if we have our eyes backwards, it creates these volcanic actions in our children. Who are they going to take it out on? You. That's the first one. They meet you at the front door. You betcha. Then they started taking it out on the teachers. Then they start taking it out on the other people around them, like their siblings. I have changed just this letter and the capital I. And I have kids that are now making A's in school when they were bouncing off of walls everywhere. They were in my office, and I mean, I have 5 children, and there's some kids that I can't even stand. And these kids were, I mean, you just wanted to grab them, tie them up in a chair, and say, now hold it just a minute until we can get this whole thing done here. And I didn't do that. I says, this is what we're going to do, young man. Would you please come here and sit down for a second? And of course, he looked at me like, you're some kind of an idiot. All right, so we did this. These are push-pulls. How many of you did this when you were learning how to write? Up and down, up and down, up and down. I want you to see if you can go back in your memory bank and remember how quiet the class was during the time that you were doing that. Because that is an exercise that reduces stress. Wonderful. Well, let's get this kid. I don't care. I got him the biggest piece of paper I could find with some colored ink pens. Bless Carol's heart. And we did the push-pull, 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 push-pull on the paper. All right? And guess what? All of a sudden he started being quiet. And I said, ooh, this is neat. Now I already knew that this would probably work because I have 2 of the honoriest grandsons you've ever seen in your life. Okay, they're part of the new generation of these awakened beings that have parents that don't know what the heck they're doing. So they come over to Grandma's house and test her. So we get them on push-pulls. All right? And oh, it's great because now if they know they're in trouble, they know I'll reach for the writing book and I'll bring it out and I'll put it down on the thing and they go, no, Grandma, not push-pulls, anything but push-pulls. Because they know they're going to be sound asleep in just a minute. Because it reduces stress and all the anxiety in your body. How many of you have heavy handwriting? There's a lot of you do. If you'll do, you doodle. Doodles are great for releasing anxiety and tension in your body. This is a doodle, but it's an up and down process, but it is really great. It is up, let, down, go. Don't let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. How many times have we, had religious background and they said something like this, let go and let God? AA meetings, let go, let God. We couldn't get it. How many people have really thought inside, I can't get that. Gosh, I wish I could just let go. Put this on a piece of paper. Let go, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. Denver traffic is horrendous. And I'm driving down the street, and I'm looking at all this traffic thinking, I'm not going to make this mentally. I'm a Taurus. You don't push Tauruses around. They have a temper. High T crossings help tempers. Okay? Push-pulls really help tempers. So this car pulls in front of me. I almost hit him. I mean, my heart's racing, and I'm angry, and, anymore you hear all the shootings and everything about driving on the streets and then pulling in front of you. I said, I'm not going to let this get to me. So what we will do is with my finger do push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, which releases the anxiety. It releases some adrenaline from the back of your head down into your body and relaxes you. Now I put people on this exercise for 21 days to get rid of the most important thing in your life. Stinking thinking. Now, there is not one of you that hasn't had a case of stinking thinking. Okay, that's that army of guys in your head that's telling you what you should be doing, when you really know better. All right? Push, pull, let go, because it helps you with clarity, helps you make decisions. How many times have you tried to make a decision and you just are so overwhelmed with life's process and the stuff that you're learning, all this government stuff can overwhelm you. I'm telling you. Boy, there's sometimes I walk out of these places like this and I just go, I can't believe this. This is just way too much. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. You're going to find out you're in charge of your life. Whoa, what a concept. Okay. Hey, look at this. It's even a good sleeping pill. For those people who have really small handwriting. If they'll do that just before they go to bed, because just before you go to bed, if you will do handwriting exercises, all right, your mind will assimilate the information better, and will relax you. The next morning you'll come up with more answers than you ever thought of. I have a lot of people that tell me, older people that tell me, that they're losing their motor control and they're losing their memories and they can't get their bodies to function well. All right? Again, it has to do with the diet. It has to do with exercise. It has to do, we're taking care of the mental stuff. I'm not going to take care of your body totally. We're going to start with the mental, because most everything that happens in your body starts up here with the stinking thinking. So let's clear out all the stinking thinking, get to the process of rearranging our thoughts so that we come up with positive answers, and then we can go to the practitioners. I send people to practitioners all the time, health practitioners all the time, because in handwriting I can see the scars on your body. I can see if you've got a headache, if you're carrying all your anxiety in your shoulders, if you nicked your toe and it's bleeding. That's cool. I'll tell you what, when somebody nicks their toe, man, I shove a pad of paper underneath their hand and say, here, sign this. I gotta see that toe bleeding. It's incredible. All right? These things are amazing. My niece came to me. She had a broken leg. They just put her in a ace bandage and sent her home. And they said that, oh, she didn't do anything. She just sprained it, and it was too swollen. And so they sent her home. She goes, oh, Aunt Polly, would you look at my handwriting? And I said, you betcha, sweetheart. So I looked at her handwriting, and she had broken her leg, but it was too swollen to see in the x-ray. So we put her in ice, and we took her back. That was so cool, because we got into the emergency room, and I took her mother, because I couldn't do this myself. And we took her mother, and we said to the people, you know, would you look at this gal's leg again, and, you know, like, she's got a broken foot. And they said, no way, no way. The information says it can't be broken. And I said, would you just x-ray it again? Sure enough, they casted her in a new part right up to here. Uh-huh. Yep. She had the prettiest cast. It was blue, too. You know, they do that now. But isn't that neat that you can see those things? I just showed Carol Dennis, which I just thought, I think it's going to be good, even though she says she travels a lot, but I think it's still going to be good for her to know when a person is pregnant and about 72 hours after you conceive, you can tell if that is a boy or if that is a girl, or if we got twins in there, or if we got triplets in there, or if we got, you know, isn't that cool? Now, I used to have that, like I said, the Healing Arts Center in Paonia. So all these teenagers would come to me. Unfortunately, we have a lot of teenagers that are having babies out of wedlock. But they know they can come to me, you know. And so they come in and they say, oh, Polly, would you look at my handwriting and tell me what I'm going to have? And I tell them. And so far, I've been 100% correct. You know, so then I tell them to go bet their doctor. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to, you know, if you're going to do this and it's this weird, you might as well make money off of it. Okay. So this one gal says, but I don't want a boy. Can't you change that thing over to the other side so I can have a girl? I don't think it works that way. But if you'll do this exercise right here, remember the roundy rounds? Roundy round. Da, 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 da. Did anybody ever do this on paper? Do it. It is absolutely incredible for motor control. It gets you back in touch with your abilities to really get your body into going and moving and thinking and acting, and it's good for eye-hand coordination. Man, it's great. Here's another one. All right, here we go again. Okay, this is a slant chart. Slant charts are very important in handwriting because I can do an analysis just on this hand chart. I don't need your handwriting. You know, I can just glance at it, put it down. Of course, you guys have seen me do this, and you think I'm psychic. But this is an amazing thing because in this slant chart, this line right here, the very bottom line that goes across, I call my baseline. That's where I start everything. That's where I determine whether or not you're stable in your life or you got a little bit of up and downs, all right? There's back problems in that line too, all right? Then we have this line that goes straight up. When I was investigating handwriting, what I found was I got a whole bunch of handwritings from different countries, and then even got some of the handwriting from the time of the Hitler regime. And I saw how straight up and down this handwriting was. You know, well, it couldn't be like the Nazi gooseneck march, right? You bet it could have been. If it's straight up and down, you're controlling all your emotions and you're acting just like that. Boy, how would you, that's kind of like anal retentive, don't you think? Just kind of straight up and down. Believe me, I can see anal retentiveness in your handwriting. Okay, B is where I want you to be. Okay, which is just barely slanted. That's stability. That shows me as a graphologist that you can go out there and if an emergency happened, by God, you could take care of it. Don't you think that's where we need to be? I mean, we're right now in all this stuff. We don't need to be in C, D, or E, the emotional response. We need to be in stable and thinking clearly. So, when they taught us how to do handwriting, they started at C. So let's have some emotions from these kids and from everyone else. All right? Then what I've seen a lot of lately is D and E. And when I see D and E in your handwriting, I can just about bank on it that you guys are going through financial difficulties. You're so emotional over it. You're finding health practitioners because your health is a mess. There's a number of things that creates. Then over here on this side over here where it says F, introvert, F is an introvert, all right? But they're really great people. There are actors and are actresses, there are artists and are creative people. Now, did you see the words down below, female and male? Now, isn't that interesting that the F slant is the creative side and the other one is the male side? So I said, I wonder what this one's all about. So I got to looking at that and investigated it even a little bit more and found out that during World War I and World War II, if you had written on the left-hand side, if you were a left-slanted person and you went that way and you were using your left hand, they killed you. They put you to death. Because they did not, for one thing, left hand is your intuitive side. So if you ever want to get in touch with your soul, start writing with your left hand. It will be amazing. The first thing will happen is you get this real squiggly handwriting. Well, I'll tell you what, I think that you'd be a little weak too if you'd been locked up in the closet for how many years? Start using your left hand. And the people that do use their left hand usually print too. Now here's something I want to tell you about handwriting also. Why do we write? Does anybody know why we really write? We connect the letters. Why do we write? Faster is, I want to tell you something. Faster doesn't get it. It did not pass any of the scientific tests saying that handwriting was faster. It failed. Okay? Next. Anybody else got an idea? Because it doesn't work. So we were looking, and there was this Chinese man that came over, and he was doing a new technique of handwriting where he could show me where I could see the chakras in the handwriting. And he told me that at one time we needed to all be connected, and so that's why they came up with the idea of putting the letters together. Now, if everything is in print, why are we writing? I mean, think about it. The books are in print. All your advertising is print. Why do you write? Here's an example. I got 6 guys lined up here on this stage. They're invisible, but I want you to materialize them, all right? They're standing right here. And I want you to know they're pretty good looking too, okay? For me. All right, now I'm going to hand them this rope. And I'm going to hand this guy this rope, and I'm going to hand this guy this rope, and I'm going to hand this one, this one, this one, and I'm going to keep going. Okay? Then I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to pull him. And I'm going to pull those guys, and they're going to follow. Interesting concept, don't you think? Plus, on top of that, if you take your handwriting and you break it up in the middle, you are becoming intuitive. Okay? So, isn't that a neat way to get you out of being intuitive? Is to teach you how to write so you can connect all that, so you cannot feel any of your intuitive side? Well, I'll be darned. Then maybe you would know everything without ever knowing how. Interesting concept, to say the least. So, I'm just throwing some of these ideas out to you, that you know that every day, if you feel that your handwriting is not clear, clear it up. Make the E's open. Do your T's at the top. There's even a couple letters in your handwriting that I can see that you were born in the same generation as me. Kids are to be seen and not heard. And you know what this did to us? This nice little belief system? It shut down our letters. It scrunched them. It like took all the juice out of them, and now we don't know how to communicate. So when we get into a pinch and we have to communicate with our loved ones, we can't do it. All right? Because we don't know how. We have been trained not to do it. And it shows up in your handwriting. Now, what does not show up in your handwriting is color, age, and sex. That is why I can work for corporations and hire the people that are good for your business, because I cannot be discriminated against. I can't see those things. All I'm telling you is if the person is honest, if the person has got the ability to do the job well, if the person has follow through, if the person is going to make money for you and himself, or if he's just out for your money, out for the insurance policy, out to, take your money instead of give it. I can see sociopaths, psychopaths, I can see you name it and I can see it. I can see things that, when you're a graphologist, you're also a counselor. And you have to get over taking on people's personal stuff. And you'll do things like, I had this one young gal that had no leg because she was a diabetic and she'd lost her leg from gangrene. She was getting ready to lose the other leg. She was on kidney dialysis, and she had another bunch of stuff. And she really didn't want me to do her handwriting because she really didn't want me to put her down anymore, all right? So finally, she allowed me to do her handwriting just about 3 months before she did her transition out of here. And I said, Karen, I says, in her handwriting, I says, I see that you have been playing with a gun. And did you get shot, or did you shoot yourself? What happened? Did one of your friends shoot you or something? And she said, oh no. She says, when I was little, my father and mother, who happened to be doctors, and my brother was even a nurse, decided to lock me up in the closet so no one would find out they had a daughter that had these kind of disabilities. And so this kept going on, this abuse all the time. And one time I thought it was really great. My dad was going to take me out, and we were going to go hunting. And while we were hunting, my dad shot me twice. And I made it back to the hospital before he did. And I saw this in the handwriting. Well, believe me, there's some things in handwriting that just about take my breath away. Just about make me sick to my stomach, thinking, oh my God. There's a lot of stuff I see in your handwriting that's none of my business, and I don't touch it. Believe me, I don't touch it. Here's one more for all you people at this seminar. And believe me, everyone at these seminars, Dean, are practically the most, no, they are the most wonderful people I have ever met in my life. They are open, they're intelligent. It's a pleasure to do every one of your handwriting. I just can't tell you. This one is very good for anyone that is overextending themselves during these conferences. Kind of like last night, staying up till midnight and then getting up, 6 o'clock in the morning. If you will do a whole page, well, this one says 5 to 7 minutes, which believe me is about a whole page, of T's crossed at the top, one right underneath the other one. You notice they're separate. You notice I didn't make a bunch of strokes and then cheat and make a line all the way across. Okay? If you will do this, it will give you 8 complete hours of energy. And I know this for a fact because I used to work 2 jobs. So I thought that I'd try this out. Look, I can't teach you anything I haven't tried out first. So I tried this, and it was great because you go in there, and you're supposed to get there at about 4 o'clock, and you're supposed to work till 9 or 10, and you're just about as beat as they are because you just came from your other job. So you're doing this whole bunch of T's on a piece of paper, and of course they're going by you going, what are you doing? And I says, I'm giving myself energy. Yeah, right. Okay, so now here comes 6 o'clock, right? And they're like really down. They're tired, and you're just zooming around. You're getting everything put away, retail job. Can't you tell? Okay, so you're getting everything put away, and you're just straightening up everything, and you got sales, and you're running around all these people, and your sales are higher than anybody else. Energy. Do not do this after 4:30 in the afternoon, because you will be up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I'll give you the antidote, God. I'll tell you. Push-pulls are your antidote. Push-pulls bring you down. This brings you up. Okay, here we go again. All right? So we got these guys that are on drugs and alcohol, and they need this fix, right? We change their handwriting. We get them positive attitudes. We give them a shot of this. And let me tell you, it works on their body as good as a drug. So if you want a drug high, do a page of push-pulls, and let me tell you. Oh, here's a good one. You'll love this one. Dotted I's are for memory. And then I'm pretty sure I almost have to quit here. But dotted I's are for memory. So if you guys are forgetting your I's, it only shows me as a graphologist you're not remembering some very important things. Dot the I's. Now, when you do it right above the I, then you are becoming more aware of details. Okay, how many of you people have had kids and you hated to walk into their bedrooms? You know, it's like, oh my God, that room is a mess. Well, we have taken a whole bunch of kids now, and we've put them on the exercise of AIE, which is, it's an interesting exercise because it helps them open their mind. The dot on the I is just right at the top. Okay, which means that they're detail-oriented. Did you get it? Detail-oriented. So they go in their room, and the room is a mess. That's not detail-oriented. All right, so they're starting to put things away. They clean their rooms. God, it's great. You know, I'm never going to have any kids staying in my house. They're going to have dirty rooms again. I'll make them do a whole exercise of dotted I's. I can even help your child become aware of his mathematical abilities by doing certain letters of the alphabet, and I've had him pass calculus, just fly through the whole thing. Whew. And they go, that was incredible, and they said I couldn't do it. So changing your handwriting changes your life, because what you are doing is changing the thought that creates the change in your body and your life, and it works. That's all I can say. So we got about 1 minute. Is there any one or two persons that would like to ask me a question? Yes, sir. Would you like to go to the microphone, please?
What about the letter F and making it so that it's scrunched up, open, or looped in the middle?
Oh, looped in the middle is great. That's great determination to get where you want to go. F is very important. I'm going to be doing a workshop tomorrow night, Sunday night, 6:30 to 9:30 or whatever, and I'm going to go through the entire alphabet and show you how to do it correctly. Alphabet according to Polly. F, remember, is for future. And when you're doing your F, I want an open top, which means that there is space in between. It's not scrunched on the top. There's a lot of you that come up and you just come up, down, bring it over like this, and out. All right? So you have fullness on the bottom, which is you have the ability to make everybody else in the world happy, but where is your future? Let's get some future in our lives. We can change this planet by just changing our thoughts. I'm telling you. I have seen it over and over again. Miracles happen every day by changing your handwriting. And it is absolutely incredible. Yes, sir.
When you were talking about alcoholics and that, and you said do push-pulls. I thought that was a downer, and they're usually down.
No, well...
Should it be T's?
T's, no, you'd be surprised. Okay, it's just like push-pulls are, like, let's say we have a hyperactive kid. I give hyperactive kids coffee. It honestly acts as an upper for drug addicts, and it does, and a downer for people that don't. So it's interesting, but I add that with the T's. It's got to have the T's, okay? Because it's an upper for that when you add it with the T's. And you got to open your E's. So we put them on a whole 160-day program, and it really is colossal. All right? Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
We need you in Washington, D.C.
Oh, I've done Bill Clinton's handwriting, let me tell you. Right on tape, huh? Okay. In the handwriting I have on my desk, he has a signature on something that I think all of you should see anyway, so you can come and read it. But his signature shows me, as a graphologist, that he is mean, he is cruel, he has absolutely no conscience whatsoever. There is, I'm sorry, When they were doing the elections and they asked me who I'd vote for, I said nobody. Because I did not see one of them that did not lie, did not cheat, did not steal, and I couldn't even find one of them that literally had a conscience.
What about Hillary?
Ooh. Okay, I'll tell you what was really good. I also do body language reading, and it was really cool because she was on TV the other day. You know, she was doing that interview, and I got the biggest kick out of her because the minute that she talked, she lowered her head, she squinted her eyes, she looked down to the left, and I knew she was lying about every single thing she said. And I said, "What are you doing? You're telling the American public you're a jerk." You know, and that you really are not, I mean, what are you doing? I can't believe this. Don't you know that every bit of who you are shows up there and you can read it? Every bit of you, from your handwriting to the way you walk, the way you comb your hair, everything, your face. If you think you're hiding, you're wrong. So what I would like you to do is just know, yes, ma'am.
What about the candidates running now? Dole, Steve Forbes.
That's another whole story. Okay, it's kind of like all of them. That would take me another hour. You know, that he's got good handwriting. And he does. And he's a caring, loving man. And the same with Charlie Duke of Colorado. And we know him. Charlie Duke has got excellent handwriting. He is a very caring and loving human being. Time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Polly. In the group.